And unless you would like to have something like a block to sit upon, feel free to use something else. We will begin our practice today in a seated shape. So it might be nice for the first few breaths to use something to sit on. Our bodies not warmed up in any shape or form. So you might allow yourself just to come into a seated form, letting your hands rest wherever they feel comfortable. And as usual, I would love you to check in with your body, maybe wiggle around the sit bones, allowing yourselves to feeling the ground or your support underneath. Allowing subtle movements around or above the pelvis then, whether that's a tilting forwards and backwards or a circling, up to you. And all that is still there just to find ease within your seat. Allowing then, as that comes into steadiness, to draw your shoulder blades back and down, and then do the opposite and just drawing them apart from each other. And you might do that a couple more times, just opening a little bit through the front and then a little bit through the upper back. Potentially taking a breath in as you bring your chest into the open, and the breath out for the subtle rounding in the upper back. Then let your hands slide in so your elbows can bend gently by your side. Your shoulders are softly back and down, and then just wiggle all of your fingers, checking in. Maybe there's a secret wiggling of the toes happening here as well. And then allowing the hands to come to rest. You can choose whether you have your palms touching your thighs or the hands are turned upwards. And as you take your next inhalation, just turning your head to one side. And on the exhalation, centering the head. And then inhale, turning the head to the other side. And exhaling to center it again. Let your chin just subtly tuck in towards the throat. Make sure the shoulders are staying down. And then push your chin forward and guide it up towards the ceiling. Before you center the head again. Right ear drops towards the right shoulder. And encouraging the deeper relaxation of the left shoulder. Bring your head back into center and do the same to the other side. So left ear drops towards the left shoulder and the right shoulder just sinks in that little bit more. Then center your head again. Let us take a deep breath in, reaching the arms up, bringing the hands together and draw the hands down towards the chest. You can allow your thumbs to touch towards the sternum. Keep yourself nice and upright, eyes closed or gaze steady. We will take one full breath out together. Inhaling for 3 ohms. Reflecting upon the ohms, the vibrations, the sound within the body. While you might keep the awareness within the body, letting your hands relax back upon your legs. Again, palms can face up or down, whichever feels best for you. Allowing yourself now to notice the seat, the support, your whole body. Notice if the body is challenged in some way or form, or at ease. Noticing that we all are quite attached to our bodies and the body's well-being. Especially when we notice things going on in the body, they're often a cause of our worries. So today we will focus on the fifth yama, which is Aparigraha. That is non-grasping. Well, we are attached to the wellness of our physical bodies. Might want to allow ourselves not always to be perfectly well. Having niggles and little issues in the body that we can go along with. And for the practice now, begin to deepen your breathing. You can choose just to practice deep diaphragmatic breathing, where the belly comes out on the inhale, and where you gently encourage the belly back in on the exhale. No strong pulling, just the breath. If you prefer full yogic breathing, you could breathe from the belly, then up to the ribs and to the collarbones. But you would draw gently in on the belly on the exhale, nevertheless, then release potentially ribs and upper chest. Allowing yourself to practice the deeper breathing for a few more rounds. If you're used to Jai technique, you can add the light constriction into the back of your throat. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita said, "Let your concern be with the action alone and never with the fruits of action. Do not let the results of your action be your motive, and do not be attached to inaction." So for this practice, if you know you have something to do and share with the world, this teaching from the Bhagavad Gita tells us to do it, and to do it with all our hearts, to let go of what might come from it. So today, or even always, practice just for the love of practicing. You can choose to keep this deeper breath flowing, but maybe removing the support from underneath. And as you're taking your next inhalation, just reaching the arms forward to maybe open palms to start with. And as you're breathing out, you might hold onto your knees and just ground into your back. And as you inhale, reach the arms forward, open palms, maybe lifting your gaze. And when you're breathing out, hold again onto the knees and round into your back. And let's do that again. Breathing in, palms reaching up into the open. And on the exhale, rounding into the back. Let's draw ourselves up nice and tall from here. Release the cross-legged seat and step your feet out in front of you. And then as you're exhaling, roll yourself down onto your back, if you can, even more slowly than I just did. Stepping your feet down onto the floor and allowing the arms to be open as you breathe in. And on the breath out, then interlacing your hands or fingertips behind the head. Inhale as you're lifting your head and your shoulders, keeping your gaze up towards the ceiling. And as you're breathing out, turn the body, reaching one elbow up in the direction of the opposite knee. And as you inhale, center or lie back. And as you exhale, twisting the body to the other side. So inhaling as we center and exhaling to lift for the twist. Inhale, center, exhale and lift for the twist. Inhale, center. If you want more, bring the knee and the elbow physically closer together. Stepping the foot down as you inhale and center. And on the exhale, then opposite elbow, maybe the knee is coming to meet. Inhale, open. Exhaling, twisting. Now you can always stay with the very first variation or just continuing on as we're engaging a little bit into the core with that stimulating digestive system, a way of releasing and letting go. And for that, we need some inner strength. Last time to twist if you're in the same rhythm with me. Otherwise, completing both sides, releasing the head down and letting your arms relax. On the next out breath, just let your knees roll over towards the right-hand side, maybe turning your gaze in the opposite direction and taking a deep breath. If you like, you can let the breath come out with a sigh. Then draw on your core as you bring your knees back into center. Wait for the next exhalation before you let your knees roll over to the left. And maybe your gaze goes in the other direction. Taking a deep breath in. And either a breath or a sigh out. Bringing your knees and head back into center. And now bringing your knees into the chest. Give them a little squeeze at first. Notice how that feels in your back and maybe rocking a little from side to side. Allow another good squeeze of your knees in, and if you like, you can take a breath out and tuck your nose towards your knees. And then releasing again down onto the back. Let your knees now just open out while keeping your big toes together. Let your arms extend out in between your knees. And bring a light flexion into the wrists so that the palms are facing away from you. This is a reclined crow pose or Garudasana. So inhale here. And as you're exhaling, if that works for you, lift the upper body, push your hands forward and draw your knees up towards your shoulders. And as you inhale, you're lying back. We'll do a few of those. So on the out breath, push forward with your hands, draw back with the knees towards the shoulders, inhaling, lying back. Find your own rhythm. If you like, you can breathe out of the mouth. Maybe that causes a deeper engagement of your core muscles. Breath out. Breath in as you come back. We'll do one more, and if that's within your practice, just holding for a bit. Knees towards the shoulders, hands pushing away. And then release. Release the upper body down. Bring your knees back together. Once more, opening the arms out towards the sides. And this time we will keep the knees in the air and the feet as well, and just rocking our knees from side to side. As you breathe out, take them over. As you inhale, bring them back into center. And when this is in balance, left and right side, center yourself again. I will leave you the choice of how to come to a seated position. You could just roll over to your side, or you could embrace your knees again and start rocking a few times forwards and backwards instead. And as you take yourself back up into a seated form, you might want to change the leg that is in front. We all have those habits, nothing that we hold on to deliberately, but maybe still something that we're kind of stuck with. So acknowledging that. And I will ask you to come back to our movement as we reach open palms up, maybe lifting the gaze. This time, take in fists as you come back, and you can pull your knees up, lift up onto your toes if that suits. On the inhale, reaching up. On the exhale, come back, maybe knees lifting, toes barely touching the ground. Inhale, reach up. Going a little bit deeper after that preparation. Now, if you like, you can now lift your toes off the floor, keeping the ankles crossed though. So on the inhale, lift. On the exhale, pull it back. Only two more here. Holding as we bring our feet to touch and swing our legs across to one side. Coming to sit upon the heels. If this is unsuitable for anyone with knee issues, hip problems, or whatever else, ankle issues, please feel free to sit in a different form or use a fair bit of support to sit yourself up higher. This support can be a stack of blocks, books, a bolster. For your next inhalation, let's open the arms out wide. And as you breathe out, let your right arm cross underneath your left, either to hug your shoulders or to come into eagle, arms touching the palms of your hands together. Let your shoulders sink down. And while you're inhaling, we're doing the opposite. Lifting the elbows, opening into the front of the spine. And as you're breathing out, tuck your elbows in towards your chest and the chin as well, rounding the back. Now let's do that a few more times. On the inhale, lift to open. On the exhale, curling in. 3 more rounds using your deep breathing pattern, awareness of the movement of the spine. And once you've completed your rounds, unwind the arms as you breathe in and open them back out wide. Elbows could be a little bit bent as you squeeze them down by the sides and just encouraging shoulder blades to come together. On the inhale, reach back into the open. And then your left arm on the out breath crosses underneath the right. Same options here, an embrace of the shoulders or the full eagle arms. Allowing the shoulders to relax as you find your gaze point or drishti. And we'll repeat the movement. On the inhale, lift your elbows, open the front of your body. And as you're breathing out, curl the elbows and the chin in towards the body, rounding the back. Let's keep that flowing. Inhale, open. Exhaling to round. Creating space here in the back. 3 more rounds. Movement through the shoulders. And the stimulation of the energy lines in the front, the back body, but also across the arms. Now I'm hoping that you are counting currently. I've lost the count. And whenever your last one comes, take another deep breath in to open the arms. Again, then on the elbows, squeeze the elbows down towards the waist, the shoulder blades together. And on the next inhale, reaching your arms up. And as you're breathing out, folding over your thighs and extending your arms out in front. Extended child's pose. Spreading your hands out, allowing a stretch back on your next exhale with the buttocks towards the heels. And then your next inhaling, lifting back up onto all fours. Keeping your fingers spread out and moving weight away from the wrists. If there are wrist issues, you can step up onto fists. Bringing weight down into the bases and the pets of the fingers while creating space around the upper back. And then allowing your right foot to stay on the ground, but to tuck toes under and extend the leg backwards. Become a bit more firm again in the stance of your arms, but also encouraging the heel of the right foot backwards. Then let your heel land of the right foot on the mat. And take a breath in to lift the right arm upwards. And as you breathe out, swing that right arm backwards, the hand back to the mat, lower the right knee to the floor, and exhale to reach back into the extended child's pose. Keep your hands glued down towards the mat, fingers spread out. And with the next inhale, returning to all fours, winding the weight bearing across the hands and really using the hands rather than the wrists. And with your next inhale, then sliding your left foot out, toes tucked under again, regaining the firmness, the strength in the upper body and your arms. And maybe encouraging your left heel back while you hold. From the stretch into the leg, let your heel land on the ground. That's your left one. And a breath in where you could lift your left arm for that supported side plank or Vasisthasana. Then swing your arm back and down, place the hand down onto the mat, bring your knee down to the floor, and again, stretch back towards the heels. We'll approach the first downward facing dog while you inhale, come up onto all fours, Tuck your toes under. You're welcome to stay on all fours though if the down dog doesn't suit. Otherwise, your out breaths were lifting the knees up. And you might start to walk out through your legs now, just pedaling into them, encouraging the opposite heel down towards the mat as you're walking the legs. Maybe exploring some deeper movements through the pelvis, wherever you might need them. And then continue your walk as you bring your feet towards the hands or the space in between. And when you reach there, let your hands slide up your shins, maybe even towards the thighs. Lengthen your spine forward on the inhale. And then folding back down on the exhale. Maybe we're noticing a little bit of a challenge here in the space that we have around the backs of the legs. Please feel free to bend your knees enough. Let your arms hang down, your head be heavy. And if you can, keep your belly resting upon your thighs. So you've got a support there. And gravity can help you to lengthen through the back here in Uttanasana, standing forward bend. So from this place, allow your fingertips to touch the floor or bring a block out in front. Lift your heels off the ground as you breathe in. The heels come right off and we're lifting up with the knees towards the armpits. Then bring your heels a little bit together and come as low as that suits. I'm aware that this might be a problem if the knees are sore. Opening your legs out, lifting through the heart and the gaze. And then turning the heels back in, feet parallel, and releasing the head down again into forward bend. And we'll repeat that. As you breathe in, lift your heels off the ground, bend your knees, reach them up towards your armpits. Then start to open the knees, bring your heels together, a squat, however deep or high you need that. If you're low, lengthen your spine, lift your gaze. And then as you're breathing out, turn the feet parallel, release the head back down to standing forward bend. Last round of this. As you inhale, lift your heels up, bend your knees, take the knees in the direction of the armpits. Then start to open the knees, bring the heels together as you sit back towards the heels, maybe lengthening your spine. And we'll release back into Uttanasana where the feet will be parallel and your nose goes down towards the knees. Allow yourself to stay here, and if you like, you can reach for the elbows and have a little sway there as you're going from side to side. Then I'm aware that the legs might feel a little bit challenged. So let your hands drop back down towards the ground. Engage the lower abdomen in the direction of the tailbone and breathe out to roll up very slowly. Please take your time, even if the rest is on an empty breath or no breathing at all. As you come to stand, let the shoulders roll back and down, and opening the palms of your hands towards the front. The feet might still be parallel here in this stance. We're taking an inhale, the arms are reaching up, and on the out breath, bending the knees, softening them and folding down back into our forward bend. On the inhale, lengthen your spine into a half lift. And as you're breathing out, walk or step your feet again into downward facing dog. While you inhale now, bring your knees down onto the mat. And on the out breath, rounding into the back for the cat. On the inhale, lifting tail and gaze, maybe soft as in your elbows. And on the out breath, rounding again. On the inhale, soften and lift. On the exhale, rounding again. Repeat that for another 3 rounds, finding the pace of your breath and going along with that. No need to rush the movement, just breathing. When you completed your last one and you're beginning that roundedness, sit back towards the heels at the same time, returning to the extended child's pose. And maybe you're noticing a difference here. Maybe the body has already let go of some of the tension or tightness that sits within. Letting your elbows now drop towards the ground. And take a breath in as you're sliding forwards and down to lie on your tummy. As you lie down, rest the forehead to the floor, the tops of the feet touching the mat. Let your elbows spread out to either side. The thumbs are aligning now with the eyes. We'll come up into a swings. So we're starting to press into the palms of the hands as we inhale, waving up through the upper body, lifting the elbows off the ground, and then landing the elbows down, aligned underneath the shoulders. Keep encouraging the tops of the feet into the mat, encouraging downwards as the knees are lifting lightly upwards. Making sure that you're not hanging in the shoulders. Keep a lift out and a sense of openness in the chest. The head only coming forward to the point where the neck is neatly aligned with the curve of the spine. Take a breath in. Have a breath out as you're holding. And you could then walk your forearms or slide them across to the left, maintaining the shape of the swings, but a little bit of a side bend within it. So you might feel an opening in the right side of the body and a squeeze into the left side. And we're changing sides. Take your time to slide across. Be mindful of any problems in the back and rather doing less. As you might on the other side experience right the opposite. Length in the left side, a squeeze to the right side. And then finding your center again in your swings. Take a breath in. And if you would like to extend this back bend because it feels good, ground down into your hands. And lifting the arms off the floor, mindful with your shoulders. And maybe, although the head doesn't lift much further, rolling your eye gaze up to the space between the eyebrows. And when you're next exhaling, let the elbows spread back out into the mat, releasing the forehead down towards the ground and sliding your hands back by the sides of your ribs. Take an inhale to push yourself up onto all fours, and you can keep your knees close or you can widen the knees and touch your big toes as you release again into child's pose. Maybe the head is resting down, maybe you're supporting the head with your hands. Take a couple of deeper breaths here. On your next inhale, come back up onto all fours. If your knees were wide, please align them. You can stay on all fours or tuck the toes under and lift the knees again off the mat. On the next inhalation, lifting the right leg up. Keep a flexion in the foot so the pelvis stays aligned. Then point your toes. And as you're breathing out, draw your knee up to your chest. Try and tuck your nose up towards the knee. And maybe landing this foot then forward in between your hands. No, don't worry if it doesn't get there. There's room for you to help it. If you prefer, you can bring your knee down onto the floor. Otherwise, soften it a little. Take a breath in as we're lifting up through the arms. And as you're breathing out, bringing your hands down by your sides. If your knee is on the ground and it's possible for you, push into the floor. See if you've got the balance to lift yourself up into standing. On the inhale, then lifting the arms up again. On the out breath, take fists down, bend the back knee more, sink a little bit deeper into your lunge, your elbows pulling along the sides. Inhaling, legs might even extend here. And then on the out breath, sinking back into the stronger lunge. We'll do that one more time, inhaling as you reach up. And exhaling as you're pulling down. Lower now your back heel towards the floor. Opening the toes out, opening your hips out. Keeping your front knee in a bend, take an inhale to lift your arms up towards the sky. And as you breathe out, circle the arms out and behind your back and interlace the hands here. Draw the arms down your back, squeeze your shoulder blades, open your heart, throat and your gaze. And as you're exhaling, lean towards a humble warrior. The right shoulder towards the inside of your knee. And as the head is nice and low, look at your feet. Are the arches lifted, or do you need to ground more through the outer edges while keeping the ball of the foot down? And if it feels good, you can lift your arms away from your back, encouraging deeper openness through the shoulders. Take a breath or two while you're holding the shape. And then let your arms release onto your back and bring your hands back down either side of your front foot. Lifting through the back heel, realigning your hips into a lunge and stepping the foot back to all fours or downward facing dog. On your inhale now, roll your spine forward, come into a plank or a kneeling plank. And on your out breath, chaturanga your way to the floor as you keep your elbows in and release towards the mat. On the inhale, lift up for cobra or upward facing dog. And on the out breath, over knees or over toes or fours or even a downward facing dog. Feel free to move this down dog as well if that feels right for you. Otherwise, you might hold it still, soften the knees, stretch the tailbone further up and back. On the next inhale now, lifting your left leg. Again, please keep the foot in flexion to align the hips. Then point the toes, and as you exhale, bring the knee up to the chest. Tuck your nose towards the knee. And then with or without help, bringing the foot forward between your hands. You can lower the back knee down to the floor if that makes this more accessible. We'll take an inhale and lift the arms up. And on the out breath, we will bring the arms down along the sides of the body. Your choice to use hands on thighs, even maybe lifting the knee off the ground. And there's the maybe again. Let's reach the arms up on the inhale. Make fists, pull the elbows along the sides and bend more deeply into the back knee as you lower into your lunge. Inhale, you might straighten both legs as you extend to the ceiling. And then exhaling and pulling back down. One more breath in. And breath out as you're pulling down, hold here. And to release this shape, let go of the fists. Ground the back heel towards the mat. Allow the pelvis to open. The front knee stays in the bend, aligned with your toes. And as you inhale, reach your arms up again. With the out breath, circle the arms out. And as the hands come to an interlace behind, you might change the top finger. Lengthen the arms down your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades. Open your chest, maybe throat and gaze. And as you're breathing out, lean with your left shoulder towards the inside of the left knee. Let the head release. Maybe the arms are lifting away from the back. Take a good check-in with your stance here as well. Not just the lift of the arches, but the grounding of the ball of the foot. Maybe feeling into the strength that each leg is bearing here. And let your hands release as you bring them back down either side of the front foot, lifting your back heel. And now stepping your foot to the front end of the mat. Return to a half lift as you're breathing in. And then come down into a forward bend as you're breathing out. Waiting for the next exhale, engage your lower abdomen and rolling up on that out breath. Take your time, and again, it might be an empty breath that takes you all the way into standing. Turning the palms of the hands to face forward, keeping the shoulders open. Feet are grounded down into the mat. As you engage into the three corners, two on the ball of the foot either side, one in the center of the heel, lifting through the arches. And if you're not too sure here, maybe lifting all 10 toes off the ground and then softly landing them again, and hopefully feeling that engagement around your feet. Let that engagement extend through the legs, a little bit into the buttocks, no clinching, just soft engagement. A little bit of a lift through the lower abdomen, and openness through the chest. We're approaching Garudasana the Eagle. As you inhale, let your arms come out like wings and bend both of your knees. Lifting now your right knee and potentially crossing the leg over. You could also keep standing here with both knees bent. You can touch your big toe to the floor. You can hug the legs in together with the foot off the ground. We're taking now the right arm to cross under, as we've done before, an embrace of the shoulders, or bringing the hands together. Let your shoulders soften down. And if the palms are touching, maybe allow one eye to look on either side of the hands. Keep a squeeze of the arms as well as the legs against each other as you're holding here. If you feel you would love to deepen a bit, you could extend a little bit forward from the hips, minding the balance, of course, when we're changing the center of gravity. To release, unwind your arms, lift the wings again, lift your knee, and then land your foot down as well as the arms. Turn the palms again forward, and with much further ado, just standing. Standing again as you begin to engage, but noticing how that same engagement that starts from the feet upwards might feel a little bit different as we've only practiced one side. With the next inhale, again, bend your knees, let your arms lift out like wings, and you could stay here with your legs, but maybe the left knee is lifting and the leg crosses over. Same here, touch your big toe to the floor or hug the legs in. The left arm crosses underneath the right for a shoulder hug or to touch the palms. Again, have a nice steady drishti or gaze point, and that might be that one eye looks on either side of the hands. While you squeeze your arms together and your legs. So be active in both and notice how much energy comes through the body like this. If you feel like extending the shape, you might gently lean forward. We will release that with a breath in. So let the arms fly, lift the knee, plant the foot and release your arms. And again, observe yourself as you turn the palms forward. Engage from feet through legs, through buttocks, lightly into the belly and lifting up through the crown of your head. Maybe this experience is again different, although the shape hasn't changed in between. While you take your next breath in, let's lift the arms up, extending the gaze again. And then touch the hands together, soften your knees and breathe out to fold forward. On the inhale, come to Ardha Uttanasana, your half lift. And on the out breath, place your hands down and step your feet back. You can come to all four stands or straight back into downward facing dog. We'll add a vinyasa here if you choose one, but you might as well take a rest instead. On the inhale, otherwise roll forward into plank or kneeling plank. Breathe out to lower, elbows nice and close. On the inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. And on the out breath, stretching back into the extended child's pose. Now, this extended child's pose is absolutely sufficient if you would like your practice to be more gentle, or if you have any problems with unmedicated high blood pressure, glaucoma, or anything that causes a pressure in the head. If you would like to take it into a headstand preparation, and I am emphasizing the preparation, you might lift up your hips away from your heels and keep your forearms down on the ground. You could choose to interlace your hands here and open the palms of the hands to face you. Have a little check-in with the elbows so that they remain underneath the shoulders. And let your head hang down, but float for now. If you notice when the head is floating down, you're feeling quite nice here, please keep it like that. You could also step your knees a little bit forward and place the crown of the head down right there in front of the hands so that the palms of the hands are hugging in the back of the head. Especially if you've lowered the head, keep some weight down into the forearms. Be active in your arms. Keep your shoulders in the shoulder sockets, and only if that's feeling brilliant, tucking your toes under. You could then push down into the forearms and lift the knees off the floor. Be stronger in your arms and have hardly any weight sitting in the head. You might hold here, or you can drop the knees down at any time, coming to the previous version. We'll only stay here for one more full breath. And when you're ready to release, untucking the toes, sinking the buttocks back towards the heels. And if you like, can you let your arms extend alongside the legs, hands towards the feet, and sinking into full balasana or the child's pose. Mindful that the head here is still low, So if you feel the head needs to lift, there's pressure building up in the head, or once you've rested enough, bring hands forward, make them to fists, stack the fists and rest the forehead upon. Allowing yourself to stay in a supported child's pose for a couple more breaths, so we can level out the head and the heart. Then place your hands down onto the floor and push yourself up into sitting, where we're taking our legs out wide in front. Now, if you have a cushion or something to sit on, if you prefer that, please bring that underneath. And then we're shuffling out our sit bones. While the legs are wide, lightly flex through the feet so that your toes are pointing towards the ceiling. This is for alignment of the legs and the hips, so we're feeling this where we need to. You can keep your hands behind you if this is challenging for you. And we might all begin here. Let's take a breath in. And as you're breathing out, just using the fingertips behind you and potentially leaning a little bit forward. As I said, you can keep the hands here. If you want to go deeper, bring the arms to the insides of the legs, touching the backs of the hands to the inner legs. And if that feels good, use your next out breath and come down a little bit deeper. Your gaze might be towards the floor, but the head isn't hanging down. We're keeping the neck a little bit engaged. And we're also, if the arms on the insides of the leg, allowing a little bit of pressure from legs to arms and arms to legs. You might close your eyes, and if you feel you can deepen further, you might. Otherwise, you can stay there and just explore. Explore this moment without any grasping to a certain outcome or shape. Then let yourself rock a little from side to side as you rise to sit. Slide your legs to come together. Put your jumpers, socks back on as we prepare for Shavasana. Inhaling to sit and exhaling as you begin to round yourself down with or without the support of your hands. As the legs out long, and if that is your preferred Shavasana, you might just slide them apart. Let the arms drift away from the body. But please feel welcome also to use a bolster under the knees, or step your feet down wide and let your knees fall in so they can hold onto each other for a constructive resting pose. Shuffle around so the shoulders can be grounded. If you can, close the eyes, otherwise steady your gaze towards the ceiling. It's time to turn back inward, to allow a gentle flow of breath to take over your awareness. Maybe you're still noticing the body settling down. And even in this shape, avoiding to get attached to that sensation of being completely relaxed. Enjoy it if it occurs, but aim for nothing but to stay in this moment. Finding the stillness that we require at the end of every practice. I choose to contemplate again on Aparigraha, the non-grasping. What is that you are leaning to in your daily life, that you are firmly holding on to? If it is anything material, you might focus on what this means for you, if you really need this exactly, or if it serves you. And if it doesn't, you might choose to let it go. Either not purchase it, or even give it away. As Aparigraha could also mean generosity. Being generous with what you don't need yourself. And Sri said, non-accumulation simply means confidence in one's existence and in one's abilities. It is knowledge of one's self. Allowing yourself to deepen your breaths and moving the body lightly. Before you bring the body into a seated form, take your time to do so. If you like, you can support the seat again. And once you're upright, take a deep breath and reach your arms up again. Touch the palms of your hands together and draw them down in front of your heart, and the thumbs could lightly touch towards the sternum. You might have a light bow towards your heart. Checking in with yourself today or throughout the week of what you might be holding on to. If there's something that you could give. As we extend with a light bow to each other, Namaste.